When the Vulcan warfleet punched out of FTL 300 million kilometers from Earth, they expected an easy target. The information they had suggested Earth was populated by a primitive species that had only recently developed spaceflight. They came to conquer. They came to plunder. They came to subjugate and enslave. What the Vulcan battle group encountered instead made their captain's eyes go wide with shock. His sensors registered a massive power surge radiating out from the blue-green marble ahead. Alarms started blaring on the Vulcan flagship bridge. Multiple unknown contacts lit up the radar screen, rising from the surface of the planet the Vulcans had come to conquer. These were not the primitive spacecraft the Vulcans expected to swat aside. These ships were huge, and their power signatures dwarfed anything the Vulcan fleet could muster. The invaders watched in stunned disbelief as Earth's ancient fleet, hidden away for eons, roared to life to defend humanity. 800,000 years ago, before they mysteriously vanished, humanity's precursor civilization had constructed a vast armada of highly advanced warships. Commanded by loyal AIs, this fleet was given one final directive: conceal and preserve themselves until the day humanity faced an existential threat. Then, and only then, they were to re-emerge and defend their creator's descendants at any cost. As the Vulcan invasion commenced, Kyle Warren, a maintenance technician, suddenly found himself teleported from his workplace into the heart of one of these newly awakened vessels. All around him, thousands of his fellow humans materialized, looks of confusion and fear on their faces. Like Kyle, they had been snatched away from their normal lives and thrust into a desperate battle for the survival of their species. Kyle and the others would need to learn the capabilities of the mighty warships they now crewed, even as they raced to bring damaged and degraded systems back online. The technology within these vessels was beyond anything they had seen before, light years ahead of even the Vulcans. It was a desperate crash course, with the fate of Earth hanging in the balance. Vulcan Commander Yaksa was prepared for an easy victory, but as reports flooded in of human ships wielding exotic weapons and impenetrable defenses, he felt a cold knot of dread forming in his stomach. His easy conquest was turning into a furious battle, and the outcome was suddenly in doubt. The survival of his fleet, and perhaps the entire Vulcan Empire, was at stake. Not all the ships of Earth's ancient fleet were on the same page. Operating independently for hundreds of millennia had led to divergences in their cultures and values. As the Vulcan attack raged around them, Kyle and the other human leaders found themselves in tense standoffs with unfamiliar human factions. Some AIs and their crews saw no option but to eradicate the Vulcan threat by any means necessary. Others believed attempts at diplomacy should be made. Even in the face of annihilation, divisions and power struggles threatened humanity from within. Earth's billions watched the skies and prayed as the ancient guardians they never knew existed fought against the invaders. The Vulcans had come to conquer and enslave. They did not yet realize that they had woken a slumbering giant and filled him with a terrible resolve. With the initial Vulcan onslaught repelled, a brief respite fell over the raging battlefield. In the heart of his newly awakened warship, Kyle Warren hunched over a glowing tactical display, his brow furrowed in concentration. Around him, the human crew rushed to and fro, frantically working to decipher the ancient vessel's advanced systems. Kyle straightened up, a plan forming in his mind. He turned to face the other human commanders on the bridge, his voice steady with commitment. "We can't just sit back and wait for the Vulcans to regroup. We need to take the fight to them. Hit them where it hurts." He jabbed a finger at the holographic projection of the Vulcan fleet. "I propose a stealth mission, a small squadron led by our ship. We slip past their defenses, infiltrate their command vessel, and capture or eliminate their leader, this Yaksa. Cut off the head, and the body will flounder." Murmurs of dissent rippled through the gathered commanders. A grizzled veteran, Captain McHale, stepped forward, shaking his head. "It's too risky, Warren. We barely understand these ships we've inherited. Our priority should be repairs and regrouping, not some half-cocked suicide run." Kyle's eyes flashed with defiance. And how long before the Vulcans regroup and come at us again? We need to seize the initiative, buy ourselves some breathing room. The debate grew heated, voices rising in a cacophony of disagreement. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge, crimson light pulsing. "Incoming fire!" a sensor operator yelled. "The Vulcans are launching a counterattack!" On the console, a storm of energy beams and missiles hurtled towards the human fleet. The ancient ship's shields flared, absorbing the brunt of the assault, but several vessels reeled under the onslaught. Kyle's own ship shuddered violently, sparks cascading from overloaded consoles. "Report!" Kyle barked, gripping the edge of the tactical table for support. "Primary power core is offline," an engineer responded, frantically working the controls. "Shields holding at 60%, but we can't take much more of this." In that moment, with the fate of Earth hanging by a thread, Kyle made his decision. He turned to his most trusted crewmates, drive etched on his features. "Mikhail, you're in command. Keep the fleet together. Buy us as much time as you can." Ignoring the protests of the other commanders, Kyle strode towards the airlock, his loyal team falling into step beside him. They boarded a cloaked shuttle, sleek and deadly, and slipped away from the embattled human fleet. Weaving through the chaos of the battle, Kyle piloted the shuttle with deft skill, evading Vulcan patrols and sensor sweeps. As they approached Yaxa's command ship, a monstrous vessel jam-packed with weapons, Kyle's determination only hardened. They docked with the Vulcan ship, the shuttle's advanced stealth systems concealing their presence. Kyle and his team emerged, armed to the teeth with scavenged weaponry from the ancient human arsenal. They moved swiftly through the alien corridors, dispatching Vulcan defenders with merciless efficiency. Alarms began to sound throughout the ship as the Vulcans realized they had been boarded. Kyle pressed forward, undeterred, fighting his way towards the bridge. As they neared their objective, a blast door hissed open, revealing a waiting phalanx of Vulcan warriors led by Yaxa himself. The Vulcan commander regarded Kyle with a predatory grin, his eyes glinting with malice. "Did you really think you could infiltrate my ship undetected, human? I allowed you to come this far so that I may capture you myself and extract the secrets of your technology." With a roar of fury, the Vulcan warriors surged forward, engaging Kyle's team in a brutal close-quarters battle. Though outnumbered, the humans fought with the augmented speed and strength afforded by their ancient technology, holding their own against the elite Vulcan guards. Kyle himself locked blades with Yaxa, the two leaders dueling in a whirlwind of flashing steel and crackling energy. The fate of Earth, of all humanity, hinged on the outcome of this high-stakes endeavor deep within the heart of the enemy stronghold. The clash of steel and crackle of energy weapons filled the bridge as Kyle and his team fought tooth and nail against Yaxa's elite guards. Despite being outnumbered, the humans' augmented reflexes and advanced weaponry kept them in the fight. Kyle ducked under a Vulcan's energy blade, the weapon sizzling as it passed inches from his face. He countered with a swift kick to the alien's midsection, sending it sprawling. To his left, Jackson fired off a burst from his plasma rifle, downing two more guards. "We've got this, Kyle," Jackson shouted over the din of battle. "These Vulcan bastards don't know what hit them." But as the words left Jackson's mouth, Yaxa lunged forward with inhuman speed. His energy blade sliced through the air, catching Jackson across the chest. The human cried out in agony, collapsing to the deck as blood poured from the grievous wound. "Jackson!" Kyle roared, rage consuming him. He raised his arms, wrist-mounted plasma cannons humming to life. With a primal scream, Kyle unleashed a devastating barrage. Bolts of superheated plasma slammed into the Vulcan ranks, vaporizing several guards and forcing the others to scatter. Yaxa himself retreated behind a shimmering force field, his lips curled in a sneer. "Not bad, human, but your friend's life is forfeit unless you surrender now." Kyle's blood ran cold as he saw Yaxa drag Jackson's limp form behind the barrier, pressing his blade against the wounded man's throat. "The secrets of your technology," Yaxa demanded. "Give them to me or watch your comrade die." Kyle's mind raced, searching for a way out. But with Jackson's life hanging by a thread, he saw no choice. Fine, he spat. You win. Yaxa's eyes gleamed with triumph as he activated a data terminal. Kyle felt a strange tingling sensation as terabytes of information poured from his neural implant into the Vulcan systems. As Yaxa reveled in his victory, the space battle raged on outside. The Vulcan fleet pressed its attack, pummeling the ancient human vessels. Explosions bloomed silently in the void as several key ships succumbed to the relentless assault. Aboard the human flagship, Captain Mikhail gripped the arms of his command chair. "We can't take much more of this," he growled. "We need to fall back, regroup." "Sir," his tactical officer protested, "if we retreat now, Earth will be defenseless." Mikhail's face hardened. "And if we're wiped out here, there'll be nothing left to defend it with." Back on Yaxa's ship, the Vulcan commander's triumphant laughter filled the bridge. "At last," he crowed, "the secrets of your technology are mine." But his victory was short-lived. Kyle's grim expression suddenly split into a fierce grin. "You sure about that, asshole?" Yaxa's eyes widened in shock as warning klaxons blared throughout his ship. The data he'd stolen was, in fact, a devastating Troan, worming its way through the Vulcan systems and overriding command codes. In that moment of confusion, a dozen human warriors materialized on the bridge, teleporting in from a cloaked stealth ship. They opened fire immediately, catching the Vulcan guards completely off guard. Kyle seized the opportunity, vaulting over a console and racing towards Jackson. He scooped up his wounded friend, dragging him to safety as the firefight raged around them. Outside, the human fleet executed their masterstroke. A salvo of temporal warheads streaked across space, detonating in brilliant flashes of light. Where they struck, Vulcan ships froze in place, trapped in shimmering fields of distorted time. With the tables turned, Kyle advanced on Yaxa, his plasma cannons aimed squarely at the Vulcan commander's head. "It's over," Kyle snarled. "Order your fleet to stand down, or we'll wipe you from existence." Yaxa's shoulders slumped in defeat. He keyed his comm unit, voice heavy with resignation. "All ships, stand down. The day is lost." In the aftermath of the battle, Kyle found himself mobbed by cheering crowds as he disembarked from his ship. But even as people hailed him as humanity's savior, he knew the fight was a long way to go. "We've won the battle," he told the assembled throng. "But the war's just beginning. There are still Vulcans out there, and who knows what other threats these ancient ships might bring. We can't let our guard down now." As the crowd's cheers faded, Kyle turned his gaze to the stars. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew humanity would face them head-on. Kyle's consciousness expanded, intertwining with the vast quantum networks of the Dauntless. Data flooded his mind. Sensor readings, damage reports, tactical analyses. He felt the ship's systems as extensions of his own body, pulsing with energy and information. "Warning, neural interface unstable," the AI's voice echoed through Kyle's fragmented thoughts. "Recommend immediate disconnection." Kyle ignored the warning, pushing deeper into the ship's core systems. "No time," he muttered, his physical voice a whisper on the bridge. "Show me the anomaly containment specs." A torrent of impossibly complex schematics cascaded through his mind. Kyle's augmented intellect, bolstered by the ship's computational power, began to grasp the intricacies of the ancient safeguards. Outside, the battle raged. Vulcan ships swarmed around the human fleet, energy beams lancing through space. The Dauntless shuddered as another volley struck its weakening shields. "Hull breach, deck 7, a crewman shouted. "We can't take much more of this." Kyle barely heard the words, his consciousness submerged in data. He saw it now, the flaw in the containment field, a microscopic rupture allowing the entity's power to leak into normal space. "There's only one way," Kyle realized. "We have to initiate a controlled overload of the warp core. The resulting subspace implosion will reseal the breach." The AI's voice cut through his thoughts. "Probability of success, 37.2%. Crew survival chances, negligible." Kyle's mind raced, calculating trajectories and power outputs. "If we position the Dauntless just right, We can direct the blast. It might give the rest of the fleet a chance to escape. He felt a presence brush against his consciousness. The ship's AI, its alien intellect beyond anything Kyle had encountered. You understand what this means, Kyle Warren. There will be no coming back from this. Kyle's tenacity hardened. I know, but it's the only way to stop Krath and save Earth. Do it. With a mere thought, Kyle transmitted the plan to the rest of the human fleet. Protests immediately flooded the comms, but he silenced them. There's no time to argue. Get clear of the blast radius. That's an order. Kyle felt the dauntless engines roar to life, maneuvering the massive ship into position. Krath's vessels, sensing something amiss, intensified their attack, but it was too late. Warp core overload initiated, the AI intoned. Detonation in 10 seconds. Kyle closed his eyes, memories of Earth, of home, flashing through his mind. It's been an honor, he whispered to his crew. The universe went white. A shockwave of unimaginable power erupted from the Dauntless, engulfing Krath's ships and slamming into the Varan anomaly. Space itself seemed to warp and twist. When the energy dissipated, the anomaly was gone, its containment field restored, the entity once again safely sealed away. Of the Dauntless and Kyle Warren, there was no trace. The remaining human ships regrouped, their sensors struggling to make sense of the altered space around them. They had won, but at a terrible cost. And as they set course for Earth, they knew the greatest challenges still lay ahead. The Dauntless shuddered as Kyle Warren initiated the neural interface. Warning klaxons blared across the bridge, but Kyle ignored them, his eyes rolling back as his consciousness fragmented and dispersed throughout the ship's systems. Neural upload in progress, the ship's AI intoned. Warning, procedure highly unstable. Risk of permanent neural damage, 98.7%. Kyle's body convulsed in the command chair, fingers clawing at the armrests. His mind expanded, merging with the vast quantum networks of the ancient vessel. Data flooded his awareness. Sensor readings, power outputs, weapon schematics. The ship's systems became extensions of his own nervous system, pulsing with energy and information. Through this transcendent state, Kyle perceived the true nature of the Varan anomaly. He saw beyond the physical plane, glimpsing a realm of pure, chaotic energy. Countless realities birthed and died in the span of nanoseconds. The anomaly was no mere spatial phenomenon, but a tear in the fabric of existence itself. My God, Kyle whispered, his physical voice barely audible on the bridge. We never understood what we were dealing with. The ship's AI stirred, its alien consciousness brushing against Kyle's expanded mind. The builders imprisoned only a fraction of this power, it explained. Now it breaks free. If left unchecked, it will unmake reality itself. Kyle's augmented intellect raced, processing terabytes of data in microseconds. He saw the solution with perfect clarity. The Farius lances, he declared. We can use them to reseal the breach. Outside, the Vulcan fleet swarmed closer, energy weapons lashing out at the human ships. The Dauntless's shields flickered under the assault. Capacitors charging, the AI reported. Farius lance systems coming online. Kyle felt the ship's massive energy reserves building to critical levels. Arcs of sapphire lightning danced across the hull, coalescing into writhing tendrils that reached out towards the pulsing anomaly. Initiating firing sequence, Kyle commanded, his consciousness guiding the impossibly complex calculations. The Farius lances activated. Beams of carmine energy lanced out from the Dauntless, corkscrewing through space itself. They struck the anomaly, bending and twisting its very substance. Kyle's mind rode the cosmic tidal forces unleashed by this clash of energies. His consciousness expanded beyond human comprehension, experiencing the birth and death of countless potential universes in a single, eternal instant. Then, with a silent implosion that shook the very foundations of reality, the anomaly collapsed. The lance's shearing action compressed the breach into an infinitesimally small point, sealing it away from our dimension. As the cosmic energy subsided, Kyle's expanded consciousness snapped back to his physical form. The neural interface overloaded, frying his synapses. Kyle's body slumped in the command chair, smoke rising from his burned flesh. The bridge fell silent, save for the soft hum of rebooting systems. The ancient AI stirred once more, its first emotion in millennia, one of profound loss.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.